G'day, g'day, g'day. It's Mathematical KM coming to you, and that's KM are initials. Keith Malumbi, not a title. Now, coming to you with the final round of the Doebel Cup for me, and I'm playing Cassandra Lee. And every game's a hippo, and this one is a good lesson. She puts on a fine display of good defensive chess. And for myself, it's a good exercise in... It's almost chess.com puzzle time. If you know there should be something, keep looking till you find it. And it's a cunning one, but it's one I'll know to look for in the future. The queen, she cannot move. Remember this. Anyway, so let's have a look. We've got the white pieces and a bit of some sort of a London. And again, we're just racing through until we've got there we are, the breather moment. It does have, usually you got your 2 pawns there and you're looking at which one, how well defended and what have you, but black have sprung forward with d4, so it's, do we want to open up that file, bringing a file onto my king when the black king is castled? Yeah, not so much. And pawn forward, the standard response even comes with tempos, so let's play it. Okay, that goes back. Now we can take a look at, computer's asking us to castle already. But this pawn has only the one defender. If it does take the F pawn, then that would be a nice place to get my knights moving towards black's king, is what I'm thinking. That knight moves away. Now, right now, and in so doing, we now have 2 defenders on that pawn, which is perhaps the thinking behind that knight moving away. I bring a knight across. I now have 2 attackers, and black has 2 defenders. Computer is suggesting that she gets a 3rd defender by moving the F pawn forward, but moving pawns near the king, well, what's not to like? Rerouting that knight, and not 100% sure why, but I'm going to pounce because, and I think this makes good sense, computer like pouncing with the knight more than pouncing with the pawn, but it's definitely time to pounce and grab that pawn while we can. I didn't go with the knight. Maybe it would have made sense. It would have made her more likely to get rid of one of the king's defenders, being that bishop. But I went with the pawn because for a little while at least I'm putting a high value on my white knight. Okay, so now she's come in, realising her d-pawn's going to become weak. And it's got 1, 2, 3 pieces attacking it. One way of defeating 3 pieces attacking is to get defence by a pawn. So, well played to my opponent there. Let's try and distract that pawn if we can. And she's gone straight in with, if you take that pawn to try and distract it, then she'll take back with another pawn, and then she'll have the same status quo. She'll have a pawn supporting that d-pawn. I thought about... and it's swung all the way over to black, rerouting my knight to here so that I'll have 2 pieces there and I'll be able to take with the pawn and then the knight. But she matches my reroute with a reroute of her own, dancing knight, so I've got a pawn and a knight, and she has a pawn and a knight on that pawn, so that plan is not going to work. So for now, it doesn't look like I am making progress on that d pawn, so I've brought my bishop to c1, so it's I think I'm going to work on trying to get rid of that defender of the king. Real shame I didn't take with the knight here in the first place, which tempts it, potentially. Let's say knight to c1, knight, bishop to c1, bishop to d2, queen to c1, and in we go. Plan. Okay, not 100% sure what that knight's working on. It is two pieces, a pawn and a knight working on my b pawn. She could take the b pawn with her pawn, and if I take back with my pawn, she could win a second pawn. But the moment, if she did take that pawn, I'd be more likely to leave it there and come in for the d pawn with a knight, backed up by a knight, threatening that knight. So, but for now, I think I can ignore what's going on there, and it even looks like I'm not ignoring it by my own current plan of getting that bishop there supported by the queen. The bishop there looks like I'm supporting my pawn, so I thought that was not a bad thing. Here we go. Okay, we've got a bishop threatening probably my worst piece that night, and it is supported by a pawn. So again, I'm going to keep going with my plan and ignore what's happening over there. That's interesting. It was suggesting that Black's does have some future in taking like that, or coming forward, trying to burst through. But she saw the bishop coming across, but a rare miscalculation by my opponent, and moving the pawn to h6 just means that pawn dies, and it didn't need to, but my plan still happens. She takes, I take, I've got the queen in near the king. So plus 3.3. So you can see I'm going to be trying to play some attacking chess. My opponent's going to be playing some pretty good defensive chess, and you'll see where this all ends up. Okay, h4 is the go. Getting the pawn forward. I've played it. I'm plus 4.3 here. The queen's come. Now, I have been thinking about can I get my knight there and queen here, but the moment I get my knight here, actually in many ways I should have just played it. If the knight takes, the pawn takes, and then the rook and the queen are connected. That very much, I got a little bit too clever for myself here with trying to think I'll take her knight before I do this, but she's going to have a replacement knight if I do that, and there we go. But I guess we're in the same boat, and it's not quite the same. The knight forward's not the go at this point, but I've played it. We're still up, but not by so much. She sends it back. Brought the pawn forward. I know it gives up the e-pawn. And if we go back, knight to f3 was one of the choices, which was protecting that pawn, which, that could be valid. And then work with things like castling and get other major pieces. But I've moved the h-pawn forward on the basis of hopefully taking, or being taken and then recapturing, but connecting the queen and the rook. So I've played, and we're up 2.2. She's taken the pawn that was on pre. H times g6 is second best. King e2 avoids moves with tempo. We don't really want her queen infiltrating and checking the king, so that's why king e2 is actually best. I went with a different way of avoiding check and bringing another piece, but it does mean that her own little attack over here has got a bit more scope. But the queen can't check the king, can go and take the pawn, but then I can take here and it would be interesting. But she doesn't do that. She takes the knight. The best move was taking the knight back. Then she takes that pawn. I played the best move. I've now connected the rook and the queen. We're at just about +3. Check. Best move, king b1, played because there are no checks, or no serious checks. Rook to c1 would be a bit silly. That's good defensive chess. Getting another piece, protecting that one. The knight's in a great place. I can't come here with the queen. And the queen, you saw the thumbnail, queen can't move. Or at least it only wants to move. Maybe it could come in and think about swapping queens off, but that queen can't leave that diagonal anyway, is the big mission, the big thing. And that's something to remember. So I've brought another piece in. We're up to +5 here. And here, knight e6 is interesting. We'll take a look at rook takes f8 in a moment. That's, I believe, played. But knight to here. Again, the queen can't take it, because if the queen does take it, then I've got queen to h8. The king could come... No, the king could not come out because of this rook. So pretty much mate. That's beautiful, knight to e6, or +6.10. Nice. But second best, rook takes f8. It's a check. The king can't take it. That rook has to take it. And there's only... How good's chess.com at telling you this one? Only one good move here and you found it. Unfortunately, I did not find it. It's the completely disingenuous thinking about it, remembering the queen can't leave the diagonal, and this rook is stopping queen to h7, and if the queen can't leave the diagonal, then knight here, forking the two rooks, is a pretty good move, and keeping it at +5. It would be a terrible move if the queen could take it, but it cannot. So we back down to +1. So we lost our the bulk of our advantage there. Best move, queen to g7, which some might be tempted to play, is still +4 for me. But not played. Best move, rook to g7. Now it's interesting that what I saw was a check that pretty much demands the queens coming off, and after the queens have come off, I've finally noticed this fork and gone for it now. But queen to h5 is because the rook is blocking that queen's ever so important diagonal. Queen to h5 is threatening mate. But I've missed all that, gone with check, forked the rooks, taken that one, takes back, and at this point, and what are we at? 0.00, which is, it felt drawish. And quite rightly, my opponent offered a draw at this point in time, and I was forced to take it. So there was some quite cluey, clever, kicking and screaming defensive chess played there. This time not by me, but against me. And little things like remembering why a piece is where it is and the fact that it can't move, so you can do things like throwing a knight in instead of the rook going down there. Yeah, important. But again, that was a fun final game, and well done to the young lass who fought back to claim a draw against the mathematical KM. So I'll see you guys next time in a week or two.